Grassi. I mean, just one of my favorites right here. Just live looking at the screen at one of my favorites. Annie, it's so good to have you here.
I'm so beyond pumped to finally get to chat with you face to face.
Well, I'm very pumped. We're really excited. You have been such a just a, I'm sure that you're just like this with everybody. Just such a spark of joy for us and an encouragement. And we didn't know each other a couple months
Mm-mm.
ago, and who knows how the heck we got connected via Aro, and we'll get into that. But you've been such an encouragement to us. So I wanted Annie, tell us a little bit about you and your family. Where you live, your spouse, your kids, all just tell us all about Annie Grassi.
Oh man, that's so kind of you to say that. So currently, right now, I'm living in Houston, Texas. I grew up in the Northeast in Boston. Both my husband and I came from the Northeast. We actually met here in Houston in the golf business.
Mm.
We
The golf
now the
business.
golf business. Yeah, we were
Wow.
both
Okay, I like it.
teaching golf professionals. And you get more golf in the in the South, which now it's like we've got almost 30 days of 100-degree temps right now, and we're like, well, we're not, neither of
Yeah.
us are in the golf business anymore. So we
Got it.
met, we're here. This is home. Texas has been home for us for about 12 years now. We have two little ones. We've got a three and a
Mm.
half year old JP, little boy, and then a 1 year old little girl named Charlie Grace. And she is just wow, like apple of our eye. It's painful how amazing she is. Let's see, I have been in some form of the health and wellness growth space for the last, I don't know, better half of the last decade. I love people. I love
Mm.
getting to know people. I love figuring out what makes them tick. That has just been like a major passion of mine. I go deep fast, maybe to a fault. A lot of my friends are like, Annie, I'm not in the mood for being Annied today. Um,
Being Annied.
yeah, that's kind of like, it's kind of a thing. I just love people, and I love bringing joy to people's lives. It's kind of like, people ask me what I do, and they're like, you kind of forget what your own superpower is until
Yeah.
somebody brings it to light for you. And so I like helping people get more life out of life, and finding ways to create more joy in their worlds. Yeah, this is,
Yeah.
yeah.
And anybody who's listened to the podcast, we've talked about you, but we help people. You help people get out of ruts, and women get out of ruts, and which is such an amazing thing. I'm curious. I want to hear a story, so I want you to
Mm,
take us to a story of, could be embarrassing, it could be
mhm.
whatever it is, just a story of when your phone has gotten in the way, this thing that's great that we love but also can get in the way of life. So I want to hear a little bit of so you have to open up a little bit on, tell us when your phone has gotten in the way of something
So
important.
I've got no problem opening up. I've got a problem narrowing down my story
Got it.
because I've had too many, unfortunately, like lowercase s shameful moments around
Mm,
my phone. I just mentioned I spent the better half of the last decade in the health and wellness space working from my phone.
yeah.
And I kind of use that as a blanket statement to say, I'm working, I'm working, I'm working. Um, and that was pre-kids, to where I still felt those shameful moments. I wish Aro was around even just 5 years ago. I feel like it would have
Mm,
tremendously helped me pre-kids, but now that I've got kids, it's put this giant spotlight on my phone usage. Um, Outside of like the typical kid seeing you on a phone, but more of like me becoming short with my children,
huh.
me being like short on patience, bone on bone, right? So I somebody asked me what RO is for me. RO for me is like the cartilage in my knees. It gives me cartilage so I'm not bone on
I
bone with my
like
children.
that.
It gives me that patience, because
Mm,
not because my phone is away, but because I'm actually doing something restful instead of scrolling on my phone. So let me give you just like one of a million situations of where I've found myself. So early postpartum days, right? A lot of moms can probably relate to this, is when you're so tapped out, and this is probably
yeah.
for dads too, right? When you're so tapped out and you put the baby down for a nap and you finally get that exhale and you're like, I'm just going to go. I've got laundry to do. I've got dishes piling up. I've got all these things. My house feels chaotic, cluttered. My brain feels chaotic and cluttered, but just give me 5 minutes to just lay on the couch and be on my phone and let,
Yeah.
you know what, the whole like sleep when the baby sleeps. And then all of a sudden you're laying on the couch on your phone and you hear the baby cry and you're like, dang it, they're already awake. But you don't realize that an hour and a half has gone by and you've
Huh.
been sitting on your phone, scrolling on your phone. The dishes are still there. The laundry is still there. The chaos is still there. And then now, for some reason, and I know I'm not alone in this, but for some reason now you're resentful towards your baby. And now your sweet
Hmm.
baby is waking up that they've been, napping for an hour and a half. And then all of a sudden you go and pick them up out of the crib and you're like, dang it, you just took away my time, is like the underlying theme here, which
Yeah.
isn't okay. Right. But
Hmm.
so I've gotten to this point now. I've become, okay, this is going to sound ridiculous. I've become the person that I hated because I now have like a handle on laundry and dishes, which sounds like, it sounds ridiculous. Just hear me out. When I've been able to become like focused on the thing that I want to do because
Hmm.
my phone isn't the distraction. I mean, simplicity, clarity, like every calming word you can think of, it's possible.
Well.
But I needed a tool to be able to put my phone away
Yeah.
because, yeah, that resentment came up way too many. Let me just finish this. Let me just finish this one thing. The amount of times I caught myself saying that. And it was usually around like, let me just send this text message. Let me just send this email. And I would feel myself getting like ramped up. And I'm saying this to a 3-year old, right? That's just,
I know
yeah.
what you mean. And then I mean I gotta assume, and I know this has been my experience, then I feel bad for it. Then I start
Oh,
shame spiraling. And then I start like it just becomes this cycle of I'm mad, that's not the person I want to be. But so then
right.
you start spiraling, you start shame spiraling. And that's hard enough for a young mom
Mm.
with an infant to not feel that immediate, just that the mom guilt that so many women feel, because they do have such a high sense of responsibility. And so I assume
Mm.
that starts, and you tell me, like that starts a little bit of a shame spiral too.
Well, sure, because what are we scrolling to when we're on our phones is we're generally scrolling either other moms who make it look like they're doing it so
Right.
easily, that they've got it together, or we're quote unquote learning from these accounts that are teaching us how to parent our children, how to get our children to sleep, how to do all these things. And then you're on information overload. And so then it's this comparison, over learning, over educating. And it's like this, it's just a surplus of thoughts and knowledge. And yes, is some of it good? Of course it is. But it's in
Yeah.
that moment when all of a sudden now we're taking that thought of, wow, she made it look like, she just is so intentional with her child, or she's got, they're on a vacation with their child and their family, and it looks wonderful, and they're at the beach. And anybody who has kids that's been to the beach knows that it's never as great as it looks. And
No
that's
way.
okay. Like
Yeah.
and that's okay. Let's just not pretend that it's all,
Yeah.
like nobody gets sand inside their bathing suit. Like that's so real and that's okay. But just don't make it look like it's, I don't know, mermaids
Yeah.
splashing in the ocean.
Right. I think I would love the beach a lot more if it didn't have sand. I really do.
Sure, same.
Um, all right. So do you remember, and you may not, like whenever you first encountered, hey, Aro, what is this thing? What, and then you said, hey, this is for me. Did you
Mm.
remember what that was like? You may not, which is totally fine. Said, hey, this is for me. I do need this. Can you take us to that kind of thought process and those moments?
Yeah, I mean the beautiful irony is that I found Aro from Instagram. I mean
Right.
that's kind of this, I don't know if dichotomy is the right word, of like I want less phone usage, but I'm learning about these things. And it's kind of this funny relationship of like, yes, there is a positive on social media. And I just remember watching, I'm pretty sure it was your ad that pegged me, that it was like, I just am I lying to myself when I'm saying I want more intentionality with my family, but I'm not? It felt like there was this strange, crippling inability to actually do what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where it was like, I know I want this. It's almost like if you're, I don't know if this makes sense, but it's like you want to go for a run, but you've got braces on your legs. And it's like, I
Mm,
know that my body wants to run, but there's something holding me back. Okay, what do I need to do in order to get that cadence going? And it was, I knew what I wanted. I knew the end result that I wanted. And it was a feeling too. It was something that I wanted to feel.
mm.
Um, and I just needed like a little bit of a, I don't know, I just needed a little bit of a help. And it was kind of, it was almost this little tiny glimmer of like desperation of like, could this be my thing?
Huh.
Okay, could this be the thing that I need? Well, I don't see anything else on the internet. I don't see anything else in the world. Like, could I put it in a shoebox? Sure. Okay. Am I doing that? No, I'm not doing
Mm,
that. Could I turn off my notifications? Yes, I'm doing that. And then all of a sudden now I'm learning that doesn't help. That doesn't matter. I've done that for years. That didn't help. I'm checking my phone more. Well, I mean, like it was almost this like I don't know what I need. And then okay, I see this one thing. I'm like, well, this could be it. I don't know, let me try. Let me
yeah.
try it. And now here I am on the other side of that, and it's affected the days and weeks, even when I'm not at home. We've traveled a little bit this summer. I don't bring my Aro box with me when we traveled. Have
Right.
I thought about it? I have. I have. But you know what I've done? I've actually logged Aro time in a hotel
Mm-hmm.
room because I have put it in the drawer in the hotel room because
Yeah.
I'm thinking to
Yeah.
myself, okay, try something. But it's affected the way that I approach my phone just in a general sense now.
Yeah. Talk about a little bit more on what that looks like. So Aro, the term Aro means to notice.
Mm,
What have you noticed? And maybe specifically relationally, and that could be relationship with your kids, your spouse, or even with yourself. What
mm.
have you noticed since finding a little bit more of this rhythm and routine of putting some distance between you and your phone?
So, a couple things here. I feel like, and I hope I'm not alone when I say this. I feel like my brain kind of got to this point where it felt like, tangled up necklaces, right? And it's like it gets so
Yeah.
frustrating and you don't even want to approach trying to untangle them. And it feels like everything's just been kind of laid out on a table. And I
Hmm.
feel like I can notice my own thoughts because
Hmm.
I'm doing the dishes and only the dishes. I'm not doing the dishes and then checking my phone and doing the dishes and then checking my phone and taking longer to do them. I'm doing the laundry and only the laundry. And, I don't mean to make it about, housework, but that's where I am at in my life.
Yeah.
And I've found enjoyment doing those. That's where I said I've become the person that I've hated. Like, I never understood that somebody could find peace and calm in keeping their home, you know, like that's something that I've found so much joy in doing is taking care of my home. And that's something that I felt like I couldn't do because I'm using air quotes. I couldn't find time to do it. I had so much more time. I was using it improperly. Now,
Yeah.
don't laugh at me when I tell you this. When I was um, really, really deep in the social media space a couple years ago, you want to be with the times and figure things out and how to create the best content. And so I actually bought this online course on how to make better family videos. Okay. It was actually
Hmm.
very good. It was a
Yeah.
really excellent course. But one of the main things that they teach you is how to take videos. It's not, they don't teach you this. They basically tell you how to take videos in slow motion so that you can then piece them together, right? Here's what I feel like. Don't laugh at me, okay? Here's what I feel like my world has become is that I notice my children in slow motion in real life.
Hmm.
And I feel like I just got goosebumps saying this. Hold on. I don't want to cry when I say this, but I feel like I'm able to really notice, like, and I'm not just using that
Hmm.
term over and over again because you brought it up, but I feel like I'm really able to notice, like, when the sunlight catches my daughter's eyelashes and her hair is like glowing, or if I'm watching my son play with his trucks and just the intensity in his eyes and the way his little hands work and watching his knuckles and like the tiniest little details. And I feel like I've been able to kind of catch a piece of my life in slow motion instead of just reviewing it on my phone at the end of the day, which is wonderful. It
Yeah, it
is
is.
wonderful to be, I mean, I think that having a phone that can capture those moments truly in slow motion and being able to review them down the, years down the road, but also in real time is just like I don't know. I've literally got goosebumps all over me right now because um that's it, you know?
Yeah,
That's it.
that's beautiful. I feel what you're saying. I really do. I can see that too. I can see, the sun catching your
Hmm.
daughter's eyes and just have, I mean, yeah, I think back on moments like that. I think about a time we were in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I just remember the sun glinting through
Mm.
my daughter's eyes, and as she's lying in the grass of this at this vineyard, and it was just
Ugh.
it's a magical moment, and you're not experiencing it necessarily through pictures, which again are great, and our phones have a great place for that, but really being in that moment.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to think about other parents who probably feel a little bit hopeless and maybe not
Mm.
hopeless, but maybe a little desperate or maybe even just a little frustrated. What kind of encouragement would you give, encouragement or advice to other parents, other families when it comes to phones and interaction and relationships?
I think like at surface level and also the umbrella comment or like conversation is to allow yourself to be okay with the problem, I guess is the
Mm,
best way to say it. Like, be okay with knowing that it's not just you, the phones, social media, it's all created to keep you on there. Like, we are the problem, but we're also the solution, right? I don't
yes.
know if that's coming across right, but what I'm trying to like kind of tiptoe around saying like it's not you, but it also is you, and that's a
Yeah.
good thing. Like you can put your phone down. The world will keep spinning. It's okay if you don't, or if you're not updated every single day about that influencer's pregnancy that you actually don't know her in real life. Like she can go along and have the baby without you knowing, and it's going to be all right. It's like, I feel like, honest to God, I feel like that was a big issue for me as I was like, well, what's going to happen if I'm not up to date with all of these things? Well, guess what? Then you're up to date with your own life. Like
Yeah.
that's the most
Mm,
important thing. The age that my kids are in right now of being so little, we're in that watch me phase, right? We're in that watch this, mommy, watch this, mommy. And it's like, oh my God, you're doing the same thing that I watched you do 5 seconds ago. But that's important to him.
right.
And
That's
it
so
it
true.
may be like it may be annoying, and I don't know what that's like with a teenager. Maybe it's still another version of watch me, maybe just quieter,
Wow.
you know?
Mm, I
It's being
feel that.
said differently.
That's really good.
And I think, arguably, because it's being said more quietly, it's easier to miss.
Yes. You're totally right. Wow.
Yeah.
Annie, you do inspire us. You
Mm.
are such an encouragement. People, you coach and you have a podcast. Will you tell people about where they can find info on those as we close
Yeah.
out?
Yeah. So I have a podcast called Unrefined Joy, and it has been such a joy for me to launch and create. And I have a couple guest speakers that are on there that bring really powerful stories. Um, you can find my podcast on just about any platform. Unrefined Joy. I actually have an Instagram account that you can follow, Unrefined Joy Podcast. My personal account, it's actually a private account, but you're welcome to give me a follow there. It's Annie_Grassi, grass with an I at the end. And yeah, I love to connect. Like I said, I love to connect with people. If you follow me, reach out, email me, I mean, send me a carrier pigeon, come hang, let's have coffee
Whatever it
together,
takes.
whatever it takes. Yeah, I love to connect with people. Joey, I really and truly am so grateful for what you're doing. And I don't say this lightly. I really think that what you are doing, the message that you're bringing, the physical product, um, it's going to help so many people. And I really believe that it's going to change the next generation of
Hmm.
intentionality
Yeah.
and following through with what we say we want to do in our lives.
Thank you. That
Mm.
that is our goal. Is yeah, we want to change the world, but that does start with changing the worlds of individual families,
Hmm.
because everybody has a whole world in and of themselves in their families. So Annie, thank you.
Mm.
Grateful for you. Appreciate you joining us here on the Aro podcast.
Thank you.